There are a lot of opportunities in this auto-regenerative way of evolving that has Kusama with collecting these funds, but later projecting them to evolve. And we can see super interesting things that maybe we can. I think at this stage we are trying to translate things from the current world into this new technology. This has no point. There are things that we can't by no means imagine at this point that could be done with this technology.
I like the idea of a human blockchain that kind of like the society holds, and I like the idea of collective identity and experimenting with collective identity in a social way. So when we were talking before about different types of societies or living together in or collectives in the network, it's a very nice social experiment. We're trying to figure out and discuss how this type of societies can impact reality, can impact the off-chain world. So at the moment, I'm working with other community members as well.
I think the nice experiment about social will be societies, and I'm really looking forward to see what people will do with that, because that's really a blank state. There is a piece of technology allowing people to create a group on chain, but what people will do with that is completely unknown. So I'm very excited to see what kind of society will show up and what people will do and what kind of roles they will have. I think that will be super interesting.
This concept of digital states, I think it's very powerful. I think it can be built on top of Kusama. And yeah, maybe we see in the future people belonging to this digital state and paying for some services that are only available in this digital state, and maybe having one Kusama passport, I don't know, or maybe being able to access some specific services that are online or through some DApp, decentralized application only available to Kusama citizens. Yeah, there are lots of interesting things in that sense. This concept of the ability to exit your country when you are where you don't like it anymore, and you can go to another country or things like that, and this kind of competing services from each of these countries could be also very, very interesting.
So a good example of something that makes me proud to be, working for parity is the work that's done with the World Food Program on, solving a real need, where they're running the distribution of, call it food stamps, for the UN on a blockchain platform. And it solves a real need. And that's the type of things, I can't tell you exactly what are all the needs out there, and there's a lot of things we can do with addressing poverty, with addressing, healthcare, and there's definitely need in blockchain, where blockchain can help in these things. The difficulty with these things always, when you speak about blockchain and people's needs, is people almost start to hit everything with the blockchain hammer. So people will start saying, like you've got Uber, let's build Uber on the blockchain. The question should always be why. Why do you want to build on the blockchain? Yes, I agree. In the end of the day, we want to decentralize everything. But is that really the best, best way to spend your time, to build Uber on the blockchain?
What it's going to take is basically someone with a really good idea to formalize that idea in a set of specifications, and then just to give that idea to the Kusama network and just let people build. And I think that it's really just going to take someone who can do that formalization. Like the hardest part about building societies and other decentralized autonomous organizations or governments on blockchains is that it's easy to have an idea about what you want, but it's hard to know exactly how to implement it so that it is economically sound, technologically sound, etc. But one of the things that will happen is we will see people in the academia. So universities and researchers and people in science will be the ones writing papers about blockchain systems, and Kusama will be on the forefront of implementing those papers. A
lot of times the difficulty is that we are sometimes chasing quite high-tech solutions without seeing that the only way it's actually going to work on this side if it's like a really low-tech solution. So it's a difficult world to marry. So there's a lot of value we can add to these things, but it's a different world out there when you look at the developing world. Kusama was not built with idiot users in mind. It was built with the early adopters in mind. In the first generations, first proof of concepts, if you wanted to send a transaction just from A to B, you needed to go to extrinsics and select balances and then transfer and then fill in your value. You almost needed a PhD just to be able to send the transaction, just to send somebody some funds. And it's improved since then, but it was built alongside the early adopters, and it's evolved alongside them. And as we've gone further down the road, more and more people have come in that hasn't been there since the start and don't have the background.
I think you need pretty little knowledge. You need a bit of tooling. The network being very decentralized, you need to have a couple of these decentralized tools, such as Riot, to reach people on the Matrix network, basically to be able to chat with people. And I think the tooling today is built in a way that it's pretty easy for anyone to jump in, get some tokens and put them at use.
In order to interact with Kusama, I would say this, that you should be someone who's reasonably familiar with currencies, cryptocurrencies. So you have owned cryptocurrencies, you've used them, you don't just store it on your Coinbase account, you have it in your own wallet, you've set transactions with it, etc. It'd be someone who's familiar with something beyond just the currency aspect. So if you've been on Ethereum before, if you've interacted with smart contracts, if you've built a smart contract, these are good candidates of someone who's able to interact with Kusama. And then it's someone who's willing to do a lot of play. So you open up the UI for Kusama, and there's a lot of buttons there and a lot of things you can do. And it's not quite, I think, easy for someone to understand exactly what's happening. So you have to be someone who's willing to read a lot, to ask questions, to join a community, and just basically learn from scratch. Over time, interacting with Kusama will become more and more easy. Today, you I think, have to be quite a bit technical. But that shouldn't discourage anyone. Again, there are people out there who are willing to help anyone and help walk you through any problems you have to interact with the Kusama network.
I agree that innovation comes with pain for part of the society. I think the best we can do is try to include them by creating tools that are accessible to them. The concepts are way too abstract for them to understand. There are too many gray legal areas that people are scared of. So by solving these topics, we include more and more people into this technology.
And I think everything will come together, because we are still so early in what we are doing. But the adoption is definitely not going to come in 6 months from now. And I think real world problems we'll solve a lot more real world problems 5 years from now than we will 5 months from now. If you look at Kusama, if you just look at the video we're discussing, the video you're making, and we're discussing here, you know, we did the funding for this via the Kusama Treasury, you know. So that is absolutely, it's something new. Yes, it is capitalist, because at the end of the day, you still need to take tokens, and you need to go to an exchange, and you need to turn them into real money so you can buy bread. So there's still a monetary aspect involved, like there always will be. But it is actually really nice and really cool, because we are having these discussions in a different place now.